everybody, it's the War Hipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial from the Realms of Death. Yes, we are back with Sekhar, the Fang of Nulahmia. Yes. From the Fangs of the Blood Queen box set, which Games Workshop have sent me early to build up and paint for all of you. And I'm very excited because I think she's absolutely fantastic. There's a lot going on here, but if we conquer it one step at a time, it should be reasonably simple to do. So, bearing that in mind, we're going to jump in and we are going to start painting her. She's been primed in White Scar, and the colour we're going to be using first is Black Legion. And we're going to be using this on the back of all of her cloth. So she's got like this skirt, the tabard, and the headdress as well. So we're going to start with this bit here. Now there is a little bit more black on the snake, for example, but we're not going to deal with that just yet. Like I said, you want to deal with these models kind of one step at a time, just to keep things nice and simple for us. Many apologies, but the back of the headdress doesn't actually have all black. There is a bit of black in there, but we're going to get to that in just a minute. Before we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Sigvald Burgundy, and we're going to apply this over the top of the inside of the, let's just call it a cape. And whilst we're waiting for all that Sigvald Burgundy to dry, we're going to take some Flesh Tearers Red and we're going to apply this over the remaining areas of the cloth. So with that done, and now it's all fully dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Carroburg Crimson. I'm going to use this to shade the Flesh Tearers Red and the Sigvald Burgundy. And with that Carroburg Crimson all applied, we then take some Nuln Oil and we apply this over the top of the black. So with that all done, what we're going to do is we're going to, whilst we're waiting for it to dry fully, we're going to take some Soulblight Grey and we're going to apply this over top of all of her flesh. With all that Soulblight Grey applied, what we're then going to do is take some thins down Runelord Brass. And we're going to apply this over the top of all of her armour. With that now done, what we're going to do is going to take some Aggaros Dunes. I'm going to use this to shade all of the armour. So, with all of that
Aggaros Dunes
applied, what we're then going to do is going to once again take Runelord Brass. We're going to use this to re-layer this now over the top of all of that armour. But what we're going to do is we're going to try and avoid any of the darkest recesses. So with that Runelord Brass reapplied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Reikland Fleshshade. I'm going to use this in some of the recesses. So I'm going to start here on the helmet. Like so. We want to use this over kind of any really deep dark recesses, and you can even use this over some of like the pitting, so that you can just like pop that in there, pop some around here for example, and around here. So that sort of thing. With that done, it's time to move on very briefly, because we're close to getting it to that War Hipster Battle Ready standard. So what we're going to do is we're going to next up take some thinned down Iron Hand Steel, and we're going to apply this over the top of the weapon. So with that now done, we're going to take some Gryph-Charger Grey. I'm going to use this to shade the silver, but also we're going to apply this over the top of the haft of the spear. And so with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take a little tiny bit of black Templar, not very much here at all. I'm going to use this over the top of the inside of the mouth, as well as her lips, well, her bottom lip specifically. Like that. And we're also going to apply this over the top of the eyes. Just wanting to mostly catch the bottom eyelid. Still sticking with the black Templar, what we want to do is we want to add a little bit of extra shading to that kind of headdress. So what we want to do is we want to take the black Templar and we're going to apply this over the top of the red, coming down to around about there, like that. We're then going to wash the brush, touch off the water, and then we're going to blend it out by feathering away at the transition line, like that. And then we want to do the same thing on this side too. It's a little bit easier. There's less to do. So we'll bring it down, around about there, wash the brush, touch off the water, and then blend it. Begging your pardon, but there is another little bit of shading we need to do. We're going to take some tiny little bit of Targor Rageshade, and you need to apply this over the face. Like that. And if you want to, you can also apply this in the recesses of her skin, what few bits there are. So with that, Sekhar herself is now what I would call a war hipster battle ready, and she's looking pretty fantastic. However, we're not going to leave her there. We are, of course, going to take her to the next level. We're going to do this by adding some highlights, and we're going to do this just before we get on to doing the base, then the snake. That's the order of operations here, because we can make a lot of mistakes if we don't do it that way around. But that's the whole point with this model. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by highlighting where we began on the black of the cloak. And the colour we're going to be using this is some thinned down Eshin Grey. And you will also want to do this in the blacker areas of the headdress as well. So with that Eshin Grey applied to all of those details, as you can see, what we're going to do now is we're going to take some thinned down Dawnstone. I'm going to use this over the sharpest parts. With all that Dawnstone applied, we're now going to take some thinned down Wazdakka Red. I'm going to use this to highlight the red. With that Wazdakka Red applied, we then want a tiny amount of some thinned down Wild Rider Red. To apply to the sharpest points in the red. With that now done, what we're going to do is move on to the next colour, which is going to be some thinned down Kakophoni Purple. I'm going to use this to add some little highlights to the burgundy of the inside of the cape. And with that Kakophoni Purple applied, we're then going to take some Druchii Violet. I'm going to apply this over the top of the entirety of the cape, well, the inside of the cape, so we can bring that colour down just one step more because we want it to be nice and dark. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the, well, biggest part of her, which is all of the armour. And the colour we're going to be using to highlight this is some thinned down Canoptek Alloy. Now helpfully we've already done most of the work, so it is just Canoptek Alloy that we need to do. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick out all of the edges across all of the armour. But what you can also do is add a little bit of extra shine in to some of the armour panels by highlighting around the kind of pitted bits, like that sort of thing. So with that done, all of the armour is now finished. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Pallid Wych Flesh, and we're going to use this to highlight and relayer the skin. So when we're saying highlight, we're going to be looking for areas around the face and the hands and the feet, whereas for like the hips and things, we essentially want to relayer this Pallid Wych Flesh. Like that. Just avoiding the recesses. With that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down white scar. And we're going to use this to highlight the skin. Like that. However, what we're also going to do with the white scar is use this to pick out the teeth and the eyeballs. And we're going to use this to effectively relayer the haft of the spear. So with that now done, what we need to do is take some Targor Rageshade. I'm going to apply this along the cutting edge of the blade. Like that. So with that now done, we're then going to take some thinned down Iron Breaker. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the silver. In addition to that, what we're going to do is we're also going to use the Iron Breaker to cover over any gems. So with that Iron Breaker now applied, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Talassar Blue. And we're going to apply this, that's way too much. We're going to apply this over the top of the gem here on the forehead. Like that. We're going to apply this over the one here on the crotch plate, I guess. We're going to apply this over the top of the two on either side of the spear as well. And finally, just to finish off Sekhar, what we're going to do is take some Sigvald Burgundy. I'm going to apply this over the top of the two droplets here and here. Like that, and over the top of this little gem, just there as well, like that. So with that done, Sekhar is now finished. So there's two more bits to go. We have the snake and we have the base, and as mentioned previously, we're going to do the base first. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some Cygor Brown and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the soil scattered around. So with all of that done, we're going to take some black Templar. We're going to apply this over the top of all of the stone. And so with that now done, we're then going to take some Stirland Mud. I'm going to apply this in the remaining negative space around the outside of the base. So with that done, it's now time to work on the snake. And the colour we're going to be using first for this is Mortarion Grime. And we're going to be applying this all over the top of the entire thing. With that Mortarion Grime applied, we're then going to take some Nuln Oil. And we're going to apply this over the top of the face. Like this. I'm going to just bring it down just a little bit over the back of the head as well. So with that now done, it's now time to add in the black striping. So the colour we're going to be using for this is Black Templar once again. And what we're looking to do here is put some equidistant stripes all the way along the body of the snake. So we're looking to do roughly 2 kind of rows of scales per stripe. So I'm just going to start just here and apply this Black Templar, going like that. I'm going to bring it up this one as well. Like that. And then we bring it down the other side as well. Like that sort of thing. Then we leave a gap of 2. So 1, 2. Then we add in our next one. Like so. And we're going to carry this around all the way around the snake. So with that done, this isn't going to make a lot of sense, but what we are going to do is we're going to take some Mechanica Standard Grey and we're going to dry brush this over the top of the entirety of the snake's body. Not the kind of inner soft bit or the head, we're going to do those in a minute. But what we're going to do is over the top of the rest of him, is we're going to dry brush this Mechanica Standard Grey like this, because if you look at the box art, the scales are all grey with a pale colour in between them. So we're going to do this, like this, just very gently building up Mechanica Standard Grey across all the scales. And with that Mechanica Standard Grey dry brush applied, we then take some Administratum Grey and we dry brush this over the top of that. So with those dry brushes applied, we then want to once again take some Nuln Oil. And we're going to apply this over the top of our black stripes. Like that. What we're also going to do is going to use this to recess shade the soft underbelly. So with that all done, just whilst we're waiting for all of it to dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Volupus Pink. And we're going to apply this over the top of the maw of our snake, and the tongue, and the teeth. With that Volupus Pink applied, we then want to take some Screaming Skull. We want to apply this over the top of the snake's eyeballs, like that. Also, we're going to use this to relayer the teeth, just leaving a little bit at the top for the gums. So with that then done, we want to take a tiny little bit of Black Legion, and towards the front of the eyeball, I'm going to draw a little line . And so with that done, we then want to take some thinned down Administratum Grey, and over the top of the snake's face, we're essentially going to relayer this, make it nice and bright. By just using lots of little lines. Like that sort of thing. And so with that done, we then want to take a tiny little bit of grey sear, and we want to do effectively the same thing, only just towards the end of the snout. And finally, we're going to take some Tyrant Skull, and we're going to dry brush this over the top of all of the soil, the rocks, and over the body of the snake. So with the base now complete, Sekhar, the Fang of Nulahmia, is now finished. Another vampire for my Soulblight Gravelord's army, and I'm very, very excited because she just looks so different to the others, so it absolutely fits with my Castlevania theme that I've been wanting to do for a long time. Really, really love this one. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and well, it was a lot of fun to do. She was actually quite simple, and so was the snake, so that was very nice.
If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.